intellectual army. Why is no one challenging Dr. Umar's definition of racism? I'm the serial intellectual. I create intellectual products that transform people and change the world. I want to play you guys some clips of how Dr. Umar defines racism. And I just want you to think through, you agree with him, you don't agree with him. I took some notes, made some observations, and I got some questions about how he defines racism. Let's take a look. Let's see what he says. Here we go.
Let me. You know why you can't be a racist? You don't own a damn thing white people need in order to live. White people need you for nothing.
Okay, so in this first clip, he asserts that the reason why you can't be racist is because you, as a black person, don't own anything that a white person needs. If I'm doing my math, my logic, what that means is to him, and at least in this context, racism, in order for it to be practiced, in order for you to be a racist, you have to own something, possess something that another person needs in order to be racist. I think that's more of an implementation and maybe an application, but that's kind of pushing it on a definition. It makes racism subject to need. Think. So if black people ever had something that white people needed, then they could be racist. But since they don't have what white people needed, they can't be racist. I'm just uncomfortable with the idea that racism can be truncated to possessions. That it can't be practiced on a micro level. It's only on a macro systemic level, which it certainly has been. And I want you to think about this. I think Dr. Umar's emphasis, whenever he talks about racism, is always systemic. That's his passion. That's his heart. We can feel that. We can see that. And he's done a lot of research in this. I think where he loses some people and sometimes loses credibility is when he makes racism subject to things like this. I don't think you need to be needed in order to be a racist. You see, think. Possessions, power, military, legislative branches, government, authority. You know what it does for a racist? It just helps them to be more racist. It helps them to be a good racist. In Hitler's case, it helped them to be the ultimate racist. You see, you don't become a racist by becoming wealthy or having power. You are a racist. And then if you get power and money and authority, you can become a really good racist. So this idea that I can't be a racist because I don't have anything that black people need is a fallacy. I just can't practice it and implement it as powerfully as I might want to. Now, he goes on in some other clips and some other podcasts to talk about what he defines racism as. And here he's going to talk about white people and why they're all racist, which that's challenging to prove. But let's hear what he has to say. I actually need to share my screen. All right, here we go.
Let me explain what I mean when I say all white people are racist. All white people are racist does not mean all white people are bigots. A bigot is someone who hates you because you're black. A bigot is someone who believes y'all need to be exterminated, that you're racially inferior, that you're nothing but drug addicts and drug users. That is a bigot. They have an emotional attachment to the destruction of the black community. A racist does not have to hate black people. A racist does not have to work to eliminate us as a population. A racist does not have to push false narratives or stereotypes about who we are. Do you know what a racist is interested in? control of resources, opportunities, and privileges. That's it. To be a racist means I like the unfair advantage my people have over blacks, and I'm not going to do a damn thing about changing it or make. Let me.
All right. So very clear there. A lot of things to touch on. Okay, first, the difference between a bigot and a racist. If you look in the dictionary, it's semantics. Um, I know in my life, I've switched them. I've said that, the bigot is more of the soft pedal one, and the racist is more as the extroverted one. That's up for debate, but it sounds like semantics to me when you think about the difference between a bigot and a racist. I understand for his point because I think he's very interested in the systemic nature of things, but it sounds semantical. Uh, Second, it's very clear, as I pointed out before, that to Dr. Umar, racism is not something that individuals per se can practice. It's a system, right? That's pretty clear, all right? And he says all white people are racist. That's a racist statement because he's saying all white people are racist. He didn't say all people who practice racism are racist. Someone's going to say, yeah, but he said at the end that if it means you like an unfair advantage and you don't do anything about it. So again, are we really intellectually going to say that there's not one white person in our 400, 500-year history, 300-year history as a country that has not done anything about racism? Now, you can be as jilted as you possibly can. You can't possibly bring yourself to believe that. It's like a building's burning and the fire department shows up and there's 10 people in the building. And the fire department goes in and they only save 5 and the other 5 come out, or they save 3. It doesn't matter. They save 1. And as a result, 2 firefighters die, right? And then the narrative is they don't care. They didn't try. What? Like, what are we talking about here? And these are the things that I think get you in trouble, because when you start saying all white people are racist, then we say all black people are, we go, oh, that's a racist statement. Why? Because you're saying just because of the color of my skin. Exactly, my friends. Racism, classically defined, is basically saying based on your traits and characteristics, you are inherently inferior to another race. Those are the characteristics of racism. So whenever I hear a person say all whites are, or all blacks are, or all Jews are, or all Chinese are, or all women are, or all men are, it's not accurate. Nothing good ever comes relationally by those type of extreme and exaggerated generalizations. But let's talk about this. He says racism simply means this: when someone enjoys an unfair advantage over someone else and doesn't do anything about it. So to enjoy an unfair advantage over another ethnicity and to not do anything about it. It seems to me, barring the fact that we've already talked about the collective fallacy that has been kind of said, that there's a bottom line under all this. And I think it's simply this. In Dr. Umar's mind, racism is more about systemic implementation. It's more of a macro thing than a micro thing. And I can get down with that philosophically, though I would disagree. I think racism can be practiced in a micro level and a macro level, right? I think the danger when you take an only micro level view is you diminish racism. You say, well, I mean, we had a black president, and you might not see some areas in the world where racism is systemic. On the flip side, the danger is when you only see it and refuse to see it on a micro level and it's only macro, you basically end up practicing the tenets of racism because you use words like all and then you put in the ethnicity, and then you're in trouble. Last thing I'm going to say, racism is built on a fallacy. The whole thing is truly a construct because racism is built on human speciation. The idea that there's different humans. Let it sink in. Racism is the idea that there's different types of humans. Like there's a black human and a white human, and they're not the same. They're very different. Really? In what way? Language, culture, appearance. Last time I checked, the fundamental elements of a human being are found in every ethnicity. See, I think the whole conversation about racism is actually built on a fallacy, which is why it causes so many problems. And we need to think clearly about this. What do I believe? I believe there's one race. It's called the human race. I believe there are many ethnicities. One race, many ethnicities. Anyway, grace and peace.